15 seconds is all it took to completely break a franchise, and the first half of that was just logos. Battlefield 5 was the most divisive mainline Battlefield game in the entire franchise, although Battlefield 2042 tried its darndest to claim that title. But Battlefield 5 had all of the makings of being a worthy and fun follow-up to the most successful Battlefield game, Battlefield 1. The reveal for a game is a core element for any marketing campaign, as it will set the impression and expectations that players will have towards the game. And once those expectations and impressions are set, they are incredibly hard to change. Ensuring the reveal is a positive success is everything. And how the creators of Battlefield 5 DICE set up the reveal for this game was one of the biggest marketing blunders we've ever seen. They had the perfect blueprint for how to market their game with Battlefield 1.
Jamie Foxx. Zac Efron. It's a little cloudy. Tell me a little bit about what you guys plan on taking into the battlefield with Battlefield 1.
I plan on taking courage and hemp.
And they could have easily built upon that, but they decided to go in a very different direction. And this resulted in making several major marketing blunders in the trailer and reveal that resulted in a huge online backlash, public discourse around the wrong elements of the game they were trying to show off, and ultimately a massive drop in sales. The first blunder they made, which is definitely one of the smaller blunders on this list compared to the ones coming up later, was picking Trevor Noah to host the reveal. Now, I have nothing against Trevor Noah, but he is a TV personality that is more associated with current events and political discourse than gaming. In fact, I don't think anybody associates him with gaming. As soon as you bring in somebody that is very outspoken on their political beliefs, you're instantly more likely to turn off a portion of your audience that doesn't lean in that particular political direction, or you're going to turn off people that just don't want politics in their games. Now, the bigger problem with picking Trevor Noah was just how cringy and awkward the whole thing was.
Oh, thanks, Bram.
Oh, hello there. I didn't see you.
But the V in my name is actually a 5. Yeah, my name is actually pronounced Trev 5 or Noah. Are you like those guys, you know, those elderly pilots that they find on an island in the Pacific, you know, who think that the war never ended? Is that who you are right now?
It did. It ended. You told me.
We tried to break it to you gently, Lars.
Mr. Battlefield, that's Lars's nickname, by the way. I'm known as Madame Battlefield. Hashtag no more knocking. One thing I loved about the game was how the maps in the world was constantly changing. You know, it felt like my bedroom at home. I never knew what to expect. We're going to go back to Daniel now to cover what you'll take to the battlefield with you.
In Battlefield 5,
it's also pretty clear that he doesn't seem to really know Battlefield very well, and that comes across in the reveal.
I heard you guys say that co-op is back, and that's one of my favorite aspects of Battlefield 1.
A lot of the jokes fell flat, everything seemed awkward and not well rehearsed.
Saying there were some new animations, there were some new moves that you could do in the game.
There's a few. Yeah.
Okay.
And it seemed more like Trevor was cashing in on a paycheck, and less like he had any actual passion for the franchise.
Wow. The car, the thing, the man, the boo.
Now, I totally get what they were going for. They wanted a big event with a very recognizable face at the front of it, but it was a very odd choice for a host.
Finally lose my nickname, No Maps Noah.
They did a similar style reveal for the Battlefield 1 trailer, but they focused less on the host and more on the developers and content creators. This made the whole Battlefield 1 reveal seem much more community focused and showcased a lot of genuine passion for the game. Contrast that with
grand operations, and I'm really excited because it sounds to me like you can pilot a giant grand piano.
Having a good host for an event like this can elevate the game and shine a light on the different and unique features the game offers. But having a bad one will take away from the game and put the emphasis of the whole reveal on the host themselves.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys have definitely raised my analog stick,
which will ultimately muddy the whole experience.
Now that we've learned about the tools, Trev 5 or Noah.
The second major blunder that DICE made was the lack of music in the trailer. As I discussed in my video for the Battlefield 1 reveal trailer, there'll be a link for that at the end of the video, the song choice played a critical role in that trailer's success and virality. Music can greatly affect how deeply someone connects to a trailer and can also sway emotions in ways that the game developers want you to feel. And to have absolutely no music in this trailer other than a slight tease coming out of the radio was baffling. It was so baffling that DICE even commented on it on the multiplayer reveal.
And this is your first look at ground operations. And this time, even featuring music.
Because there wasn't any music to help the footage flow and guide emotions effectively, this created a disjointed effect that made the whole trailer feel just off and like something was missing. It made it a much less cohesive experience, which reduced the overall flow of the trailer. And this brings us into the third major blunder, which is just the opposite of the last one. Instead of the trailer missing something, they really wanted you to notice something. That being the microtransactions. I mean, the customizations. And this might be the #1 element that makes this trailer feel so mediocre. And it's because large parts of it were designed for showing off all of the different customization options you can have in the game. Because of the Fortnite effect, don't worry, that will also be linked at the end of the video, Battlefield was shifting away from the premium pass model and moving towards a live service model. This means to fund future maps and weapons, DICE needed to sell customization microtransactions. And because they wanted to make this their primary source of revenue for Battlefield 5, DICE decided to orient this trailer to focus heavily on cosmetic items in the game. The very first shot of footage in the game is a wacky customization for the tank, followed by customization after customization after customization. And the camera angles make sure you don't miss these cool items. Pay close attention to our first introduction to the infamous hook-handed lady. Notice how the camera zooms in and follows the hook. Not the gal, the hook. The camera focuses on the takedown, on the katana and hat, the tank, the jacket on the bike rider, and I could go on and on. The entire trailer is basically, look at this cool new item we've added. Now look at this one. Now back to this one. Instead of an introduction into the world we're going to be playing in, into the immersion and realism that DICE heavily promoted throughout the reveal event,
Battlefield 5 has the most immersive battlefield ever.
And while they did show off a lot of great action set pieces and new mechanics the game would offer, it all felt really cheapened by the ultra heavy emphasis on what your character can wear.
Looking badass is the most important thing. I think anyone who's been in war can agree with this.
And of course, this leads us into the final blunder of this trailer and reveal. It's time to address the elephant in the room, having the hook-handed woman be the front and center and focal point of this World War II game. Whoa, 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 hey, whoa, hey, whoa, wait, whoa! Time to buckle up. Man, that's some tart kombucha. In Battlefield 1, you could have a flame trooper standing on the back of a horse. That's not realistic or immersive. They didn't do that in World War I. Why is having a hook-handed woman any different? And this was a common argument that circulated at the time. But here's the thing. There is a huge difference between world building and gameplay mechanics. World building is the environment, the assets, the sounds, and everything related to crafting the world you want gamers to play in. If you are trying to craft a specific play space for gamers, and there are elements in the environment that are disconnected from the world you're attempting to build, you are going to pull players out of that experience and they will be turned off from the game. Once this world, this sandbox, is set up, the gameplay mechanics facilitate the way players interact in the world, and the two together create the fun. Now here's where it gets problematic for Battlefield 5. The environment DICE had created and was going for was World War II, specifically parts of World War II we've never seen before, showcasing lesser known conflicts. Instead of the standard battles that most World War II games would show, like Stalingrad or Normandy, we got Nordvik and Rotterdam, which is a great idea. The problem is, during the entire reveal before the trailer was even shown, DICE kept emphasizing how this was the most immersive Battlefield game they've ever created.
Well, I think the best way we can describe it is immersive. I mean, this needs to feel like the most immersive Battlefield that players have ever played.
It's really about giving players the most immersive world that they could enter. You should really be grounded in it.
Like, I didn't know that there was a game that was that immersive, something that really was as true to real without being a war simulation as possible. This is the most immersive Battlefield yet in a World War II you have never seen before.
Are you delusional? Do you suffer from a mental illness?
They had set up the expectation that this game would provide the immersion that would make you feel like you're a part of World War II. But then, partly because of their emphasis on microtransactions, they had showcased elements that didn't fit the world they had set up. DICE had worked really hard to recreate real World War II battlefields, real weapons, real vehicles, but they didn't use any real or believable characters. And once you introduce something that isn't plausible with the world you've set up, you've just pulled players out. And if you're not following the guidelines of what you set up in your world building, why be so specific with the different weapons and vehicles and battlefields that were used? Let's get some laser guns and F-16s flying through there. And so this was the core problem with the hook-handed woman. It wasn't the fact that she was a woman, it's the fact that it wouldn't be plausible for her to be there in the World War II environment DICE had set up, especially with makeup, a trench coat, and a hook hand. Something that would fit much better with the experience they were creating would be showcasing characters and outfits that reflect real women and stories from World War II, such as the female French resistance fighters or the female bomber pilots the Soviet Union employed. Heck, for the Russian DLC for Battlefield 1, they included women as the sniper class, but they were showing a real piece of history in the form of a group of women that fought for the Russians in World War I, called the Women's Battalion of Death. And that is the key difference. The characters in the world of Battlefield 1 are based off of real people and experiences, and because of that, there is a plausibility that they could fit into the world. This keeps the immersion of the game intact because there's no disconnect. DICE may have been able to get away with some of the unique items like face paints or leather jackets because those did exist in some form, but DICE went way overboard with the amount of these items. You can only have so many degrees of separation before people start checking out. And hey, everybody has a different threshold for what will disconnect them from the game world. For some people, simply having a katana on the back of a soldier would be enough for them to lose interest. For others, they'd be fine with laser guns. But when those disconnected elements keep piling up, it becomes harder and harder to keep players engaged and interested. And Battlefield 5 piled them up pretty high. And to make matters so much worse, DICE did what you should never do. They doubled down and shifted the blame. Whenever you make a blunder that hurts your reputation, the best course of action is to fix whatever caused the backlash, put your head down, and work hard on rebuilding that lost reputation. The only way to get back to where you were is to prove you can. This has been demonstrated time and time again with games like No Man's Sky or Cyberpunk 2077. When faced with backlash, they put their heads down and worked hard to fix their games, and they delivered a fun and complete product in the end. DICE and EA, on the other hand, in the immediate aftermath of the trailer, proceeded to mock fans on Twitter and at the office, and even went as far as to tell players they were uneducated and to either accept it or don't buy it. The absolute worst thing you can do when you're trying to sell something is to tell your potential customers not to buy it. Other DICE developers also chimed in with comments such as adding in these female characters will put them on the right side of history. And there was a concerted effort from EA and several games media outlets to paint anybody that had valid criticism of the game as just being sexist bigots. And while DICE ended up course correcting a decent amount with future trailers focusing more on regular World War II gear and standard looking uniforms and characters, incorporating catchy music that is timed to the trailer, and showcasing the interesting and unique aspects that make Battlefield 5 different, it was too little too late to completely turn around the negative player perception. And the results speak for themselves. Battlefield 5 sold 1 million units below EA's expectations, and from the data I can piece together, those expectations were already millions less than Battlefield 1's sales expectations before release. Now, of course, there are a lot of things that can affect a game's sales, such as reviews, word of mouth, etc. And a trailer can only do so much as the game itself has to resonate with players. Battlefield 5 had a lot going for it that could have made it a huge hit. They introduced many new and unique game mechanics, such as altering and rebuilding destroyed environments, a new version of the operations mode from Battlefield 1 that would now be fought over several days with different endings depending on how previous matches were played, an incredibly robust movement system that is akin to Black Ops 6's Omni movement, and so many other awesome things that make the game stand out to this day. And of course, I cannot forget one of the greatest tragedies, in my opinion, is the loss of the co-op mode Combined Arms that was promised in the reveal. But upon the less than stellar reception of Battlefield 5, it's clear that DICE had gutted what the mode was actually going to be in order to just push it out the door. And what we got was essentially nothing more than some basic training missions. And while they were okay, I really wish we could have seen what the original vision was.
Getting detected might mean death, and you will soon be struck by resource scarcity. You need to find the tools and find your way to the objective. So stakes are high, and you need to kind of assess, can I push through or do we need to extract early?
But with all of this potential, Battlefield 5 completely missed the mark on what fans were wanting and expecting. They created a trailer that focused on the wrong things and missed key elements that would have made it so much more engaging, and they diverted too much from the immersion in the world they had created for fans to stay connected. This resulted in a big drop of sales, an unfinished vision for what Battlefield 5 was aiming to do, and ultimately broke the franchise for years until the next game would release, Battlefield 2042. But it's a good thing that game got everything back on track. Fudge. Stay tuned for a future video on that, by the way. And even though Battlefield 5 was actually pretty fun and got much better over time, especially with the release of the Pacific War DLC, it's very hard to remedy a botched reveal and turn around negative player sentiment, especially if you tell people not to buy the game. But hey, that's marketing for you. If you like the video, hit subscribe, and if you want to watch the Fortnite effect or the Battlefield 1 reveal trailer analysis videos I'd mentioned previously, click on one of the videos on screen now. And until next time, stay peachy.